What is going on, you raging lunatics? Do you want to know where Luna Classic is going to go in the next bull market? If you really want to know, I'm going to tell you. But first, I want to ask you to do something. Hit the like button, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. Help me out to grow this channel and to develop it. I'm going to tell you where Luna Classic is going. I'm going to tell you this. Nobody can tell you where Luna Classic is going because nobody knows. You remember a year ago, there was a guy, Classy Crypto. He was telling you that, within a couple of months, you were going to go to a penny. It was going to go to $1. And every day it was the same thing. And then he had a friend, Levi, who was called Crypto Queen or something like that. Was saying the same thing, like, we're just gonna go ahead and drop a bunch of zeros, and if we did this, and he makes videos, the same video over and over again with a bunch of X's crossed off or some random stupid stuff like that, right? And they all tell you, well, we're just gonna go ahead and go to this place, and we're gonna have all of this, etc. And look, we all got into it. We all love the fact that might happen, but nobody knows exactly what's going to happen with Luna Classic. So that being said, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen with Luna Classic. You know why? Because my name's Believes, and I'm always right. So we're going to do pure chart analysis, and I'm going to tell you on some technical levels a little bit about where I think we're going. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell to be notified of future content, and we will kick this off with one little piece of where we are. And then once we establish where we are, then we look at where we're going, right? Pretty simple. So you guys been following me for any length of times, you know that I am the chart whisperer, and I have been telling you from day one exactly where all this shit's going, right? I told you this resistance line over here would have to be broken. It got broken, and then we created a new resistance line, and it got broken as well just recently. Now, the first time that it broke was over here in June of last year, and we started to use it as support. But then we created a secondary channel. Again, you follow me for a length of times, you know this already, right? Well, we've broken out of that. And what I tell you a while back, I told you that we were going to break out of that and that we would need to break out of that in order for anything else to happen. But let's zoom in because it's very important to recognize not only were we right about this in this prediction, because what we did is I told you we had this kind of symmetrical triangle sort of playing out here, and that if this broke, we would start to use it as support. If we did that, remember this, then we had created this little pennant pattern that would play out to the upside. What did it do? Broke to the upside, then it came back down, came down a little bit more, took a moment, then it took off, right? Then it retested. Where did it retest? Oh wow, the line that I gave you guys, what is it, 6 months ago, that this was going to be where it was going, right? Wicking a little bit around the 200 SMA because it always loves the 200 SMA. If you want to gauge of what your crypto is doing and where your crypto is going, there's one line. The 200 SMA gives you the truth of your crypto. And what is the truth right now? Well, let's project this out. We're going here, we're going here, we're going here, oh, look at this. It's moving. So what does that mean? That means that over the next little while, we're going to see some positive movement out of Luna Classic. And it's a slow moving thing, right? What do we see? We saw the drawdown. We saw the move back up, right? Now, that gives you an idea of what is currently happening. Now, the question from there is, where do we go? Now, short term, this is some wild-eyed speculation on my behalf. I said we were going to go to 3014. The reason for that is not because I have some secret insider information, but it's because I believe that this resistance right here is going to be fairly insurmountable in the short term unless we get just some magic capital entering the market. Now, that magic capital entering the market could happen. I don't see it happening. So when I say 14 is probably where we're going to be, it's because that's the support resistance level. So what you could see is a big wick and a spike up here, just like we saw this big spike down here. Same thing could be playing out up here. So, but 14 is about where it's going to settle. That's the settlement area. I think that this resistance right here, and we're going to spike over this because it doesn't take nearly as much capital to spike over that and get into a better range. So market cap is 417 million dollars. Now, where were we when this started? $700 million. Where were we at the top? I mean, I want to say $70 billion, somewhere near that, $69 billion for a Terra Luna Classic market cap. So now the question becomes, what is the next run going to look like in the market? Well, I'm going to give you a insider secret here. Parabolic curve cycle is what it's called. And if you look up here, I've mapped that out, and there's about 568 days. Take it for this, where we get to the top of the next bull run cycle. That actually, the date on that is November 17 of 2025. For anybody who wants to write it on a piece of paper for this moment, but November 17 of 2025, that blue line right there represents where we should be in market capital, and that's going to be about $6 trillion in total market capital. Now, can we in 586 days burn enough token supply with a repeg for Terra Luna Classic to reduce its supply of any substantial level? Now, I'm going to be the buzzkill here, and I'm going to tell you, no, it's 5.8 trillion. What could we do? Well, first, we could reduce it to about 2.9 trillion. I'm going to call it 50% in that period of time. Now, you might be thinking, well, Believes, you previously had talked about in like a year or so that Terra Luna had actually burned about 65% of its overall supply, and that is true, but the volume was much higher at that time frame. We didn't have this kind of volume. We had $1 billion in volume every day. There's a big difference. Now, when people see that Terra Luna and USTC are repegged, then they're going to start doing that. But the process is going to be slower because Terra Luna, we have $8.9 billion in debt there. So as we're burning Terra Luna Classic, or Luna Classic, then we're also going to be burning the USTC. So there is a complicated process here. They're both going to have to be burned down in some fashion through trading to make it substantial. So it will be a little bit slower process, but let's be reasonable and assume that the supply is going to go down to 2.9 trillion. Now let's go back over here and let's look at the price action right now. So we're trading at 1400. So automatically we take 4 zeros, 7180, half the supply. That means that we're trading at 3 zeros, 1400. So remember I said it was going to be 1400 right here. That doesn't have anything to do with this, but it is symmetrical, and just a reminder that I'm always right. So 1400 is the new trade level. Now, if we were to do 100x, which is, look, most of the alts, especially lower end alts, are going to do 100x in this next bull run. Why? Because there's going to be renewed interest. There's going to be a lot of speculative, and this is going to be a revival story, the likes of which you've rarely seen. Why? Because Do Kwon, although he did do some stuff wrong, he was neglectful in managing his process. He wasn't the criminal and thief that people made him out to be. Because of that, sentiment for him will start to change as these lawsuits unveil and unfold. Right? We know that Citadel Securities were the people behind the collapse of the USTC and the old Terra program. So we know that Terra was collapsed by bad actors in these spaces. Barry Silbert, Citadel Securities, Genesis. We know that these guys are behind this, and FTX, by the way. So we know these things. We're going to start to reveal these things, and then that's going to create some FOMO, some excitement, stuff like that, right? So what I'm saying to you is basically 100x from 3 zeros 14 means that we're going to be at 1.4 cents at a minimum. And that would only give us about a $41 billion market cap. And now it's reasonable, by the way, to expect that to double to an $80 billion market cap in this next cycle, just to get back near where we were in the last run, including the upward mobility and the upward movement of the overall market cap. So what I'm saying to you is what I think is going to happen in short order is that Luna Classic is on a trajectory right now to end up the next bull run at 0.028 cents. And I think it's reasonable to expect all of those things that I just gave you, wildly speculative, but also a little bit conservative when you start to go around and you see people say, well, we're just going to go ahead and say it's going to $1, or we're just going to go ahead and say it's going to 10 cents because, if we burn 100 million, billion, trillion, jillion, then nobody has any idea of what's going on, right? No, everybody's just like, let's just say this because we want to engagement farm you. I'm not going to engagement farm you. I'm just going to engagement farm you. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, I think end up at 2.8 cents thereabout. And if it's that case, then probably 3, with a spike or something like that. And then it's going to start drawing back down. Now, will it draw back down to where it is now? Of course not, because it's still going to keep burning. And at the height of this bull market, there's going to be a lot more burning. So it is possible that you see the price go even higher because you throw a little fire on it, and it's going to accelerate. And if that process accelerates, then you could be maybe 5 to 10 cents on your Terra Luna Classic. See what I did there? I said, we're just going to go ahead for $1 or a dime. And then I just gave you a path to a dime because, it bees like that sometimes. Anyway, if you've not, make sure you're following me, subscribe to the channel, do your thing. And remember, if you haven't already, go find Lunc Predator on Twitter. Go follow him too. He seems to jive with what I see in the charts and what I think in the charts. And guess what? Of all the people you've been following all this time, there's only like 2 of us who've been right about everything so far. So like, comment, subscribe. This is not financial advice. My name's Believe. I am always right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again